Welcome everyone to another Pixelated review. I'm your host, Pixelated Jordan. And let me tell you, this is a long video coming, and I mean it's a long video because I'm reviewing the entire series, of course, 15 books in there. Yeah, it's gonna be a while. It's with the Project Nemesis. If you haven't seen it, that's the long video I have. So just about as long as that. So, the one thing I want to state on this, though, is that I was told by my best friend that this was an amazing book he loved as a kid. He never finished it, but he said it was awesome, probably up my alley. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot, and, well, I finished the series. And I have so much to say about the series that it's just, I gotta get it out. So, I think one thing for sure I'm gonna do, I'm just not gonna go extreme detail about the stories because there's, like I said, 15 books, so I'll try to be as brief as I can just to get through them and just rank them and all that good stuff. But if I feel the need to just tell you why I liked it so much, well, then I'm gonna gush about it. So there you go. Well, with that out of the way, so let's say this, without further ado, let's start this review. Book 1, Skullduggery Pleasant. Allow me to give you my initial impressions. Oh my god, why haven't I read this yet? That was my initial impression. Why? Because this book is unlike anything else I've ever read before. I found it hilarious, I found it just fun, and I just found it just the most bonkers book I've ever read in my entire life. I can't explain it that enough. It's a very simple story, but it's also very fun. And Skullduggery Pleasant, let me tell you, this man right here, Skullduggery, he's the best character ever written. Just saying it right now. I absolutely love Skullduggery throughout this entire series, and this was the start. I couldn't help but laugh at everything he says. I was just intrigued with everything he's talked about. It was just so much fun. The series doesn't take itself too seriously, and I like that about it. It has fun, and that's the most important thing, and I just absolutely love this story for that reason. And I love Skullduggery Pleasant as Skullduggery Pleasant. I just can't get enough of that character. He's so much fun. He's just out there wild. It says a lot of things. He has a lot of things to say, and he's all about himself, which is also hilarious. And Stephanie Edgley, our main character, she's cool. She's our protagonist, our point of view character, our human character. Even though the thing is called Skullduggery Pleasant, you would think maybe it should be about Skullduggery, but it's about Stephanie. So, yeah. But that's okay, whatever. I still get Skullduggery one way or another. And I absolutely love just the way this book is. It's just so funny, it's so outlandish, and I can never get enough. I'm glad I read it because of this one. I was giggling down the hallways listening to this story when I was working, and I just couldn't stop myself from just being overjoyed with this story. It's a great story, and honestly, this ranking for this book gets its own ranking. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It gets its very own ranking, and I'm gonna just say that right now. So, for Skullduggery Pleasant, it gets a rating of... Why aren't you reading it yet? Book 2, Playing with Fire. So after the events of the first book, we have our second one. So in the first one, it was talking about, the faceless ones. Well, also the Sanctuary kind of went down too, which was also crazy. That was nuts. Well, it didn't go down, just got the elders out of the way. Book of Names burned. Some important things that's obviously, were in there. But the point is, though, a lot of just fun and just craziness kind of happened in this one. Though I think the villain of this book right here, he was kind of bland for everything else. He's the one that took things way too seriously, and maybe that's the joke of it. But yeah, he was the only character that kind of just didn't really click with everything else. He was just too serious for everything, and everyone else was just kind of goofy stereotype, which was a lot of fun. So, but he was just the only one that didn't like. Other than that, though, the characters, absolutely love them because they're just all fun and all the time. They're great, and the world still keeps on expanding, and it's great. And then, yeah, and then the action was actually a lot better. The first one it did good enough, but the action this one did a lot better with its combat, and it's really good, and so it got better over time. Skullduggery Pleasant, well, what can I say? That's Skullduggery Pleasant. He's still good as he was before. So, with that being said, Playing with Fire gets a rating of I recommend it. Book 3, The Faceless Ones. So in The Faceless Ones, we face the faceless ones, which are not so faceless. I guess that makes sense. Point being, it was generally a lot of fun. So at first, it was kind of like, I was kind of not for it because the faceless ones were just talked about constantly, and it felt like they were like forever threat, you know? Like I was getting kind of bored with the same thread, like not actually being here. Until they showed up. And then well, I mean, one, technically, in a technical sense. Yeah, that was fun. Anyway, I generally like this still. It's still one of the cool ones, you know, because Skullduggery Pleasant is Skullduggery Pleasant. Valkyrie, or her name is now Valkyrie Kane, our main character. She picked her name, you know, the given name, the usual stuff. If you want to know that, read the book. But other than that, though, I really did like this one. The ending was something unexpected. Did not expect that from Skullduggery, but it really was something else, and I very much enjoyed it. So for sure, I have to say the faceless ones, though I wasn't all together with it because of how, like I said, the faceless ones were constantly talked about. I did enjoy how the ending was, and it did make me go like, okay, where do we go from here? I'm excited. So little did I know where I was going, and I'm excited. So here we go. Rating for Skullduggery Pleasant, The Faceless Ones gets a rating of I recommend it. Book 4, Dark Days. So in the end of Book 3, Faceless One, we need to get Skullduggery back from the Faceless One's domain. To do that, we found his skull that he didn't have in the first 3 books, which is actually kind of hilarious. Oh no, he got it back. It's between the 2, he got it back. Point is, we need to use his original skull. And yeah, and that was a whole little journey. The only thing that did suck, I'll admit, I really didn't like the beginning, or I thought it was kind of boring because we didn't have Skullduggery. And that was the sucky part, you know, because Skullduggery kind of made it for me. And I kind of realized, like, yeah, I kind of need my Skullduggery Pleasant in my Skullduggery Pleasant book. Not just Valkyrie Kane. Valkyrie Kane is cool, but I need my Skullduggery. Anyway, but after he came along, yeah, it definitely went back to business as usual. And then we have this group with with some old group of people who did not like the Sanctuary, of course, because there's always that going to be a threat. They were actually a really fun group. And there's this other side character, I can't remember, Scapegrace. Poor Scapegrace, man. He's always getting tied down to just so many things. Oh yeah, and then also her what's her name? Valkyrie Kane's mirror duplicate is also just there, you know, still kind of doing her thing, which is always something to think about. But yeah, everything that's been talked about from the first 3 books has constantly been in use, and the world keeps expanding, and it's something like one of my favorites. Also, the zombie stuff. That was hilarious. Scapegrace is just, he's just the butt of the joke, and I can't get enough of him, and I absolutely love this character because he's the butt of the joke. Terrible to say that, but it makes me laugh. And then, yeah, and the ending, though, man, this ending did kind of throw me off for a loop. I was not expecting the ending that we got, and it was something that just keeps on expanding the world, and it just keeps going and going. So, with that being said, I give Skullduggery Pleasant, Dark Days a rating of I recommend it. Book 5, Mortal Coil. Alright, I got my first truly complaint about the series. Why did you change the cover art? Like, seriously, the cover art was so cool at the beginning. Got this kind of cartoonish style, and it just looks so cool and pretty, and I really liked it. Now they're kind of going something a little bit more realistic, which kind of sucks. Anyway, other than that, though, I really did enjoy this book. Though, I have to say the pacing was a bit off for me, because it felt like it was... Skullduggery Pleasant is a fast-paced book, but sometimes it went too fast. And then sometimes it goes too slow. So this one was kind of all over the place when it comes to pacing, kind of got distracting. But other than that, though, it was really good. And, well, there was this character we got talked about, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd book, of a powerful character named Dark S. And, Yeah, and that's tied with Valkyrie Kane. Kind of think like the Sentry in the Void. If you know where that's from, then you understand. And man, that was she made her terrifying entry today against the remnants in the Mortal Coil. It was absolutely terrifying, but it was also really, really cool. Like, just seeing the power come through that being, it was absolutely nuts, and I absolutely loved it. Usually when you have like a lot of authors, they tend to not use that power, you know, as a crutch, but sometimes it's just fun to use that power and abuse it. So with that being said, I will give Skullduggery Pleasant Mortal Coil a rating of, check it out, Book 6, Deathbringer. You know, necromancy's pretty cool, I have to think. You know, until they say, oh yeah, our thing is gonna bring a genocide, then maybe you should probably start questioning if necromancers should be existing in this universe. Okay, not really, some of them are pretty cool, but still, the point still stands. The Deathbringer was actually really cool. I do like it. It gets a bit really serious in this one, like too serious sometimes. And sometimes, you know, when a series that has fun and jokes, you get to a point in the series where it just takes itself really seriously that you can't just ignore it, you know what I mean? But it was a lot of fun, especially when we got to the Lord Vile stuff. Oh my god, yes, that stuff was amazing. And then Darkest again too, even better. So in the end, usually when we get to like the end, just kind of like Mortal Coil, the Deathbringer, well, it does rise. Deathbringer does rise, and they do fight them, but at max power. We're talking like Darkest, Lord Vile. It was awesome. And like I said, a lot of authors choose not to go that route because it's the easy route, but sometimes, like I said, it's just so much fun to see it happen. And I'm so happy we got to see it happen. The climax was amazing, so I can't even argue about that. Darkest is terrifying, so is Lord Vile, especially when I got to the end that Lord Vile was actually chasing him now. It was generally just a fun book, and I had a lot of fun. Even though it takes itself a bit too serious here and there, I still found the book generally fun. So with that being said, I'll give Skullduggery Pleasant Deathbringer a rating of, I recommend it. Book 7, Kingdom of the Wicked. Comedy is in full swing in this book, and I had the blast of my time, just like the first book. It was so much fun, and it got really weird. There was dimension hopping. We brought the Stephanie Edgy, you know, the mirror clone thing with that. It was just so much was going on in this book. At first you were thinking, oh, this probably would not be that good. Nope, it was absolutely amazing, and I couldn't stop myself from laughing. This one just kept going with the jokes and punchlines. It just kept landing everywhere. Funniest book by far, and I absolutely loved it. And then the ending, of course, like I said, one of my favorite praises to give Derek in this one here is the fact he uses his trump card, and I love that, and it is great. Oh my gosh, seriously, no. If these guys use their trump card so much, and I know it's a bad thing, but I absolutely love it. And I love how the world keeps on expanding, and we see this other world, and it's so fascinating, and I love it. So yeah, definitely this right here was one of my personal favorites because of how much fun I had and how bonkers it really got. So with that being said, Skullduggery Pleasant, Kingdom of the Wicked gets a rating of, I recommend it. Book 7, Last Stand of Dead Men. Alright, I'm gonna be the first to admit it. I know it. This was not my favorite. I don't know what it was about the Dead Men. I just did not like the Dead Men as much as everyone else liked the Dead Men. But there's so much fun to be having in this book, like seriously. The whole Darkest thing, oh my god, that definitely went up in flames, like hardcore fast. So I guess that's what you get from using too much of your trump card. Like being consequences have actions, or your actions have consequences. There we go. Definitely something I was like, dang, that was sad. And then the deaths that happened in this story was definitely even sadder too, because man, I didn't expect that to happen in the end. The twists and betrayals that happened here just was something I wasn't expecting. And then Darkest making her return, fully this time. Like, I mean fully this time. Oh my god, she is terrifying. And I absolutely loved it. I guess my issue with this story is how it kind of just jumps from place to place, which confuses me, and also just the pacing doesn't really fit as well as it probably should fit. It felt shaky, and that's the only reason why I don't like it. And the Dead Men, just, I don't know, they never clicked with me as much as like everyone else says, oh, this is amazing. I like the team, but it just didn't click for me like everyone else it clicked for. So, needless to say, yeah, I didn't enjoy the Dead Men as much as everyone else, and you know, that kind of sucks. But I did like the ending. The climax was absolutely great, and just that twist. Oh man, that twist. I'm glad Stephanie Edgley, the mirror version, got sentient, and even though she did kill somebody, she was actually a really good character, and yeah, I really like to see more of that one right there. I'll tell you that right now. That was a great move right there, and just that ending with that hint of the real world coming to the parents was definitely shocking. So overall, I definitely have to say there is so much good in this book. There's some political stuff that they do, like, you know, main political thing, but beyond that, that's about it. So, but yeah, definitely a really fun book if you like the Dead Men. If not, then it's kind of like, okay, this is still good, just not as good as the rest. So with that being said, I will give The Last Stand for Dead Men a rating of, check it out, Book 9, The Dying of the Light. This one definitely had the same pacing problem, which kind of sucks, because we get a future Valkyrie in this kind of like subplot, and at first I took it as there's 3 Valkyries kind of running around in the world. So that's kind of something that did throw me off for a bit until I realized, oh, this takes place completely afterwards. So that subplot was a thing, which I guess for the ending it makes sense, but still for the like majority of the story I was kind of like, eh. This one was like, it was really just, it was all over the place, because it was trying to get us to the Darkest side of things, because Darkest is fully in control of Valkyrie now, and you know, it's on the side of Sanctuary where Skullduggery is, and just, yeah, that one was definitely like a lot of challenging things there, but it definitely was a good adventure still. Like, it was full of action-packed. Like, Darkest was just so creative in all her stuff. Like, Jesus, man, like, this lady just knew no bound of where to go. She knew how to, well, she knew how to do anything. And she just was this formidable threat that just, like, even against the, some threats that we had before, like the faceless ones, like, she just tops them, like, in every way. Like, there's no matter how you look at it, she absolutely just drops these guys. So, with that being said, I just think that, yeah, it could have been better, but I can't say it sucks. And one thing for sure, this really does feel like an end to a story, you know? We built up Darkest, I think from book 2 or 3. It was talked about in the first one that she saw her name, but it was between 2 or 3 that we found out who Darkest was. And then we finally reached the end of Darkest's story. And to me, it does feel like a very much shut, closed case of what the end is. So, and it made me really feel like, okay, this is good. This is a nice ending. But I did know there was 15 books, so I was curious on how it continues. So, with that being said, let's rate this. The Dying of the Light gets a rating of, check it out, Phase 2. For those who don't know, who were just starting Skullduggery Pleasant, there is a Phase 2. So there's Phase 1, which is the first 9 books, and then the next phase with 10 through 15. I didn't know that going in, but there you go. Now you know. There's phases to the series. Phase 1, Phase 2. Alright. Book 10. Resurrection. Resurrection is the resurrection of the series of Skullduggery, because it's Phase 2 now, so let's get back into it. And I can tell you right off the bat, some of the things of Resurrection definitely changed. There was this charm that I loved from the first 9 books that were just ever present, and it made me fall in love with the series. It did have a lack in this series, sadly. Now I understand, like, you know, your characters need to grow up, your characters need to change and develop over time. But there was this presence that just wasn't there as it used to be, which kind of sucked. Now, for the story itself, it's fine. It actually works for the whole thing. You know, we got new characters such as Never. She's beginning to be a teleporter. We have, what's his name? He's not Omen brothers. Gosh, no, the Darkly brothers, which is Omen Darkly. He's one of my personal new additions. I really liked his character a lot. So definitely these characters are a lot of fun and definitely a lot of things. But like I said, there was this lack of fun characters development in this series because it took itself kind of seriously more than usual. And that's what I'm saying. It's okay to do that, but something for this, not so much. Skullduggery, however, no, I have very little to say because he's always the most entertaining character. So for Skullduggery Pleasance-wise, he's still everything I like. So with that being said, let's rate this. For Skullduggery Resurrection, it gets a rating of, check it out, Book 11, Midnight. At the end of Book 10, Resurrection, we had a new character introduced named Abythinia. Abythinia is an ex-girlfriend, wife, whatever, of Skullduggery when he was Lord Vile. Now, she does things. She is powerful, but I never found her threatening. Like, I was ready, like, I was kind of interested to see how it ended, you know, after, you know, she was actually successfully resurrected and is in a flying prison. I was expecting some craziness, but no. Sadly, kind of throughout the story, it really was kind of boring. Not much really happened. There was kind of these dreamscapes and stuff with Cadaver. He was in the 10th book, and Skullduggery kind of liked him as his evil self that he was back in the book 10, but that's about it. Like, in this one, it just felt so boring. Until we get to the climax. Valkyrie has a sister, and her sister got stolen. And it was just kind of this cat and mouse, not really cat and mouse, I guess you're just playing like a Saw game, if you will. And once we got to the hotel, oh my god, the whole Midnight Hotel, that was just, I'm just saying, I thought it was so fun, it was so great, I did not complain about it at all. So, everything in the middle, so boring. Abythinia, she's alright. Cadaver, yeah, he's alright too, I don't mind him too much. But for the rest of it, yeah, it just wasn't as great. So, but I did like the climax a lot, and I really can't argue that. For how weird it got and how crazy it was, I really did enjoy it. So, with that being said, I'll give Skullduggery Pleasant Midnight a rating of, check it out, Book 12, Bedlam. Abythinia is the worst villain in Skullduggery's lineup. Seriously, I could not get into Abythinia at all. She acts all high and mighty, and it just felt like she was a discounted dark ass. And I think Skullduggery said it best. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but basically he said, "You're not important, just powerful." And I think that sums up Abythinia in a nutshell. I just couldn't get behind her character. She bored me. She acted tough, but really, she just kind of got owned pretty much, basically. Now, granted, she's powerful. She did kick butt when she did kick butt, which is very rarely. But other than that, I just could not get behind Abythinia. She just didn't feel that threatening like everyone else. Omen Darkly is still my favorite character. He wasn't at his A game in this one, but I still enjoyed him. Skullduggery, never complain about him. Still, to this day, I have no complaints about Skullduggery. Valkyrie, on the other hand, I kind of just feel like I'm kind of bored with her now. I don't really like her characteristic at this point, which kind of sucks, you know, because I understand that, you know, character development is a thing and needs to happen. The charm that was there with Skullduggery and Valkyrie back in the day was not here in this series. It feels like it's forced now. It feels like they're trying their best to get them to just connect like they used to. And it just doesn't come off the same. It just feels like Derek Lanny is just forcing that conversation to make them feel bubbly, but it doesn't feel like they're really that character. Again, now I get it. Trauma. Especially for Valkyrie. Yeah, she went through so much. Oh my god, for the first 9 books. But at the same time, it's like, it's just not the same as it used to be. So, and that thing kind of sucks. Oh yeah, and then we have this other character named the Plague Doctor. He's literally a plague doctor wearing a plague doctor mask. He can't take off his suit or he'll die. But he's on a mission to rescue or take Dark S, and that's something I am against. You know, at least I will hint at it later. But yeah, having to stand still against the faceless one and her was absolutely amazing. So leaving her there was amazing, but yet, yeah, it didn't. Yeah, that's something I was hoping that never came back, but it looks like it's coming back. So, which kind of sucks. But anyway, yeah, this one just kind of. The plot of it was fine. I just could not get into Abyssinia's character, and that's kind of what dragged it out for me. So, with that being said, for Skullduggery Pleasant Bedlam, it gets a rating of meh. Book 13, Season of War. Do you smell that? It's a smell of fresh air. And yes, it is the smell of fresh air. My god, this was fun. We got to travel back to the evil dimension that was mentioned in the Kingdom of the Wicked. And that was fun. And oh my god, yeah, this was a lot of fun. Zombie plagues, you know, zombies are in the urban fantasy. Never thought about that. Anyway, this was a lot of fun. We just got action packed, you know, it was just great. I had barely any issues with this story. That's what I'm going to say, barely any issues. It's definitely better than the 3 that came before it, but this was this was just so much better what came before that I just can't complain about it as much before. Here's what I can complain about though. There was this scene with Lord Vile was, you know, Lord Vile in this dark universe. Skullduggery still had his power, and there was a Lord Vile versus Lord Vile. I expected epicness, just trial and error, just this full-on just battle. And I ended in a couple sentences because evil Lord Vile won, which kind of sucked, to be completely honest with you. Like, I was expecting an epic battle, and it kind of went down, and I was kind of disappointed. So that was a thing. Also, Mevlent came to the present. That too was a thing. And he did mess up a lot of people. He was definitely a very powerful adversary, you know, for sure. The Lord of the Darklands, which is Omen Darkly's kind of like subplot, if you will. That whole thing with his brother being the chosen one. That one right there was a... Oh. Well, here's what I can say about that. For the Lord of the Darkland versus Mevlent, that should have been the Vile versus Lord Vile. I wish that's what happened, but oh well, I guess. But other than that, though, that subplot with the Lord of the Darklands was actually taken care of, and that kind of sucks because, you know, Omen Darkly's subplot's usually pretty fun. I never complain about his subplots. This one was a bit boring, more than usual, which kind of sucks. But then again, you know, their journey we were having on with the with our crew in the other universe definitely was a lot of fun. So. Definitely no complaints about that for sure. Other than that though, yeah, I kind of wish the Vile fight was better. I kind of wish that Omen Darkly's subplot was a bit fun, I guess. Yeah, and that's really about it. Just general, so much better than what happened in the last 3 books. Definitely a lot of fun. So, with that being said, Skullduggery Pleasant, Season of War, gets a rating of... Check it out. Book 14, Dead or Alive. You know what? This feels right. I haven't, since the Abyssinia trilogy, I haven't been that invested in Skullduggery until, like, you know, this one. Oh my god, this one was just a lot of fun. We got to visit another, like, you know, adventure, like, I guess no, alternate timeline, and it was just... Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The faceless ones are making their return, and it's just going off the walls with that too. And they're actually feeling like a bigger threat, or just as big as a threat as Dark S, and which is actually great and terrifying. Oh, speaking of Dark S, I did forget to mention that previous review that she did come back. However, they are changing the character a bit, which actually, I didn't mind. It's actually different and interesting what's going on with her, which we do explore more in this one with the Plague Doctor. So that is something to look forward to, because it was something I didn't really expect from Dark S, but I liked the change, and I thought I was gonna hate it. I really did. I thought I was gonna full on hate it, but nope. It was actually surprisingly something good and interesting that I wasn't expecting. And then when it came to the end of this story, just to protect, Valkyrie can protect her sister becoming the chosen one for the Faceless One in the future, she takes the role, and she's now basically worshipping the Faceless Ones, which were actually a very terrifying thing. And now Dark S is back, and my theory was a Dark S versus Valkyrie Part 2, and it was something I was looking forward to. So, other than telling you right now, let's give this book a rating. For Skullduggery Pleasant, Dead or Alive, I give it a rating of, I recommend it. Book 15, Until the End. So this one is the last of the book for Phase 2. And it just ended in the most climactic bit I think any book really could end on. Magic is revealed to the world. The Faceless Ones are revealed to the world. And everyone is in disarray. And the way they did end in the 14th book, it just, it actually is terrifying to see that the Faceless Ones are kind of just standing there waiting to be, there. And, yeah, it just went completely off the walls in this one. It was a bit terrifying because, Valkyrie, being this character we absolutely love, now is worshipping the enemy that we absolutely hate. It was just so weird. Skullduggery stuck around because he loved the kid, Valkyrie, but yeah, he's still my favorite character. I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely love him. But yeah, I forgot to mention that there is this other character named Cadaver Kane. He was absolutely hilarious, liked him. Future evil Skullduggery Pleasant, basically. So he does play a role in this one as well. Definitely love that. But man, this one just went off the walls with everything. And Dark S does make her appearance yet again here. And though I didn't think she was gonna be down for the count for a little bit, but she was. But also when Valkyrie became Valkyrie again later in this book, it was a nice heart moment in there. And then just how everything kind of elapsed. People, when they found out magic people exist, humanity does the best thing they do. They commit genocide because of course humanity does, because they don't like difference. And different stuff scares them. So, you remember the witch trials? Yeah, that's basically what they did to anyone magic, which was nuts. So, but other than that though, this was just a crazy ride. And then Omen's Darkly Brother did have his epic climax in the 14th book, becoming basically just, everyone just called him Obsidian. And he was the only threat that can actually straight up take on the Faceless Ones, and he did though. But he was also terrifying because he wanted to create nothing. So that means anything he touches was nothing. Man, it did come to an epic climax. And then Omen Darkly, our MVP, loved the kid. Can't get enough of that guy. He was the MVP of the whole series, at least at Phase 2. He's the one that was the Plague Doctor, and it was great to see him go to be the Plague Doctor and then come back immediately just can I take this thing off now? And it was great. I loved it. And in the end though, where everything was becoming nothing, Dark S actually shows up and basically just not save everybody, but creates a different world, basically, in another sense. But you know what they say, before creation comes destruction, and destruction came, and Dark S created another universe. And she made everything kind of alright in the end. Everyone that did pass ended up coming back. The things that were remembered by, the magic people, the Magic Society, they remember being killed by humanity, but humanity does not remember the magic parts. So that is a lot of things to take in because this book was very dense, but it did come to finally into an end of Phase 2. And like I said, there were resurrections and reveals here, so it was a lot to just build on there. Yeah, but overall, it was an end. And I'll give this Skullduggery Pleasant until the end. a rating of, check it out. Overall, this is Skullduggery Pleasant. And yeah, phase 1 and phase 2. And I have to say though, it's hard for me to give this full thing as ratings because I absolutely love Skullduggery, the character. Like, absolutely. But after phase 2, it did kind of a dip in its quality, which kind of sucks. Because I absolutely love, the series as a whole because of, Skullduggery Pleasant, the fun magic system, the charm that it had. But after phase 1, the charm of it left. And it didn't feel the same, and it just didn't act the same. And I get it, like I said, characters gotta develop. But none of that fun, the reason I came here for Skullduggery Pleasant, lost in phase 2. And that's the thing too, in the end of the book 15, it says Skullduggery Pleasant will return. And the only way I can see him returning is definitely by, how the magic people might actually go against humanity and try to actually take over this time. That's an idea, but I don't know. It's really hard to say. Because at the end of book 15, the biggest threat ever happened. You got two things going at each other. Complete nothing, and then something that created everything. How do you get your characters to be relevant anymore when the gods came by and fixed everything? That's kind of the problem we face now with this. Do I love the series? Yes, I love the series. But will I continue it if there was the 16th book? I don't know. And that's the hard thing to tell. It's because I absolutely love the series that I might just read it, but it's like, when is it going to end? I think 9 was a great ending. The more I look at it, it's like, the 9th book really did it completed all the stuff I wanted to. And it left it open-ended for continued stories, for if you want to imagine any. And you know what? I think that would have been a great end to the whole series. Because you just left it open-ended and let the imagination of your fandom just create whatever scenario they wanted. And I think that was a great idea. But now we added things, and now that charm that was there is gone. And now there was big old gods that basically just went off the rocks with it. And now it's like, well, what to do now? What do you do now? I don't know. So maybe I might read it. I don't know. It's really conflicted because of how much I love the beginnings. The beginnings were so amazing. And now I'm just sitting here, do I want to? Because it's not the same as it used to be. And maybe that's kind of the reason of phase 2. It's not the same. It's hard to say, But yeah, Skullduggery Pleasant is definitely something I can absolutely, without a question of a doubt, to recommend, especially the first phase, And if you really need to get into it, if you really want to get to the end and see what happens, by all means, check out until the end if you want to go all through it. But just know that I think the story of Skullduggery Pleasant should have ended at book 9. And that's the thing that sucks. But I absolutely still love the character of Skullduggery. He is absolutely my favorite. Hands down, can't get enough of that guy. So, I guess with that being said, let's give this a series review. For Skullduggery Pleasant series, I give it a rating of, I recommend it. Thank you for watching. Hi, I want to thank you guys all for watching. I really do appreciate it. And if you want to check out these books, I will have them linked down below. Also, did you know I too am an author? That's right. I have a book of paranormal YA adventures. It is called Unborn Ghost. And if you're interested, I will link that down below. And again, I want to thank you again all for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.